Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, everyone. I am just getting set up here. Let me get a few settings in place. I want to make sure that if you're joining me live today and you chat with me, that I see your chat. So let me get things set up on my end to see everything here. And I'm jumping on YouTube Live today to talk a little bit about age and why I think being in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s can be a huge advantage if your goal is to speak English confidently and fluently. I know that sounds absolutely wild. It sounds ridiculous. Or if you're on my email list, you know I've got a new favorite word. It might sound bonkers. I get it. But we're going to talk about that today. Why age, being in your 40s, being in your 50s, being in your 60s, can absolutely be an advantage in learning to speak English confidently and fluently. Now, to get there, for me to get from what I just said, how it's an advantage, and to talk through that so that you have a way to move forward, there's a few things that we need to talk about first. And this whole topic has been on my mind for a couple of reasons. And I see a few people joining here. So if you're here, say a quick hello. I'd love to see who's here in the chat. But there's a few reasons I've been thinking about this. Over the last couple of weeks, I've done a couple of YouTube lives. Maybe you've seen a couple of the other ones, and I've absolutely loved it. Not because I do enjoy being live on YouTube. It is fun. It also comes with a lot of anxiety. But what I love is the interaction. I love the comments that I'm getting, the opportunity to hear your stories about learning English, about speaking it confidently and fluently. I love the emails that I've been getting. And something that I've been hearing a lot in the emails are things like, Anne-Marie, I absolutely want to become more confident speaking English. I need to become more confident. I need to do well in my job, but it's just too late for me. I'm too old to speak fluently. I didn't learn it as a child. I'm too old. It's too late for me. I'm also seeing a lot of comments about it's too late for me because I never had the chance to study abroad. I never studied abroad in college. I haven't had the chance to live in an English-speaking country. So I'm hearing a lot of that. And we're going to talk more about those comments in a moment because you might be having some of the same feelings. At the same time that I'm hearing all of that, I'm also celebrating something really big this month. July is the 5-year anniversary of my Confident Women community. And so inside my community, we're celebrating all of the changes that our members have experienced in their English confidence and fluency. And inside my community, I have women who are in their 20s and 30s with young children who are just starting in their careers. I have women in their 40s and 50s who are established in their careers and trying to grow their positions. And I have women in their 60s, 70s, 80s. I even have a student who is 91 years old. And inside the community, what I'm hearing is I have learned to speak spontaneously without fear in English. I've learned to speak without feeling embarrassed. I've learned to feel confident in conversations on any topic. I can start conversations with my neighbors. So I'm hearing these two very different things happening at the same time. And everyone in my community is in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on. But I'm also hearing these struggles of feeling like it's too late. So I want to talk a little bit about that and what might be the difference. Why are some people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s succeeding, gaining confidence, gaining fluency, feeling comfortable in the language, speaking spontaneously, all of those things. Even people who don't live in English-speaking countries, people who have never even been in an English-speaking country. How is that happening? What's different? And so I want to go back to these ideas of it's too late for me. I'm too old. I've been trying this for years. I've been doing all the right things, but I still feel stuck every time I try to speak, or I've missed my chance because I never lived abroad. It's too late for me. And it's too late. I just cannot sound polished, or I can't sound smart, or I can't sound articulate in English. I can't use the precise vocabulary in English that I can in my native language. So the first thing I want to say is it makes sense to have those beliefs. It makes sense to believe that it's too late. I don't think that it feels good. I don't know about you. I know for me, if I want something in my life, and if I feel like it's too late for me to get it, that doesn't feel very good. I might think that it's true, but it doesn't feel good. It feels disappointing. It feels hopeless. It feels discouraging. And so for you, you might have this dream or this deep desire or this real need to speak English confidently and fluently. But if there's that feeling that it's too late, there's a lot of disappointment in that. But life experience can teach us that it's true. And I'm using quotes to say true. It feels true. When we've studied and studied and studied for years, we've done all the right things, but still, when we try to speak in the meeting, it's like you're a 7-year-old child. Or still, when you try to say hi to your neighbor, all the words disappear. So this life experience that we have again and again teaches us that, oh, it must be that I'm too old. It must be that I've never lived abroad. So we start to believe these things. And I want to very kindly say, if I wasn't afraid to hurt your feelings, I would say those are absolutely false beliefs. They are things that we believe because they feel true or seem true, but they are not true. If those were true, if being too old meant you couldn't speak a language fluently or confidently, if living in another country, not in an English-speaking country, meant you can't speak fluently or confidently, then I wouldn't see that happening with my students every single day. I wouldn't experience it for myself in my second language every single day. So again, what's the difference? And I've been thinking a lot about this. And so I want you to think really carefully about your English practice and how you started to learn the language. Most of us, maybe like you, if I think about my first time learning another language, I was around 13 or 14 and I was learning Spanish at school because everybody, when I was 13 and 14, everybody learned Spanish in school. And of course, I was in a classroom where I learned the rules of Spanish, and my teacher spoke in English, right? So my teacher was using English to explain the rules of Spanish to me. So I'm learning all the rules. I'm learning the grammar. What is the present simple, the past simple? What are the words for to be and to go and to work? So I'm learning all these rules, right? And that's helpful. It's very efficient to learn that way in a classroom. You learn things fast. But those rules don't teach you how to be in a conversation. It's a totally different skill. It's a totally different, it's a absolutely different requirement to learn how to speak. And I'm going to explain it like this. And I don't know why I'm thinking about sports. I'm not a sports person at all. If you know me at all, you know I'm not a sports person, but sports are really visual. It's something we can all see and understand. So I want you to think about basketball for a moment. And this is maybe the worst sport for me to talk about because I'm very petite. I am not a basketball player, but it's very visual. So let's think about basketball for a moment. I want you to imagine someone loves basketball and they play basketball, right? They play basketball for fun. They're on a team. So they spend time learning to play basketball, right? But when they go to practice, when they are with their coach, they learn to dribble. So dribble is when we bounce the ball and while you're walking, right? So if you think about basketball, you learn to bounce the ball while you're walking. The word for this in English is dribble. So in practice, you learn to dribble the ball and you spend hours and hours and hours dribbling this ball. You learn to do it really, really well. And then you also learn to stand in one position and throw the ball into the net to score, right? And you just do the same throw again and again and again and again from the same place on the court. And you also learn the rules of the game. You learn that if you throw the ball outside the lines, that it's a foul, that it breaks the rules of the game. You start to learn all these rules. But you never play the game with other people. You never learn to shoot or throw the ball from different places on the court. You just learn from this one place. And I think sometimes the way we learn a language in a classroom at the beginning, it's just like that. We're learning to dribble. We're learning to shoot the ball standing in one place. And we do the same thing again and again. We learn the rules. We learn the mechanics of the language. But we never learn how to use those mechanics in real life with real people. So if you think about a basketball game, you don't just stand in one place and bounce the ball, and you don't stand in one place and shoot the ball into the net again and again and again. There are people on your team who are trying to get your attention. There are people on the opposite team who are trying to steal your attention and get the ball away from you. You have to run around, you have to move, you have to adapt, you have to throw the ball from different places on the court. You have to be careful about other people and their hands. You have to think about how much strength, how much power to throw the ball with, depending on how far you are. There's so many other components happening at the same time, and you have to learn how to be flexible in all those different ways. And again, learning a language in a classroom sometimes feels like learning to dribble, learning to shoot from the same place. That's how we learn to learn a language. We think that's the way to do it. And so many of us, after we leave school, when we get older, when we start jobs, when we move abroad, we think, oh, I need to speak English for my job. I need to speak English because I live in an English-speaking country, or I just want to. I want to be fluent. I love English. I want to do this. So we think, let me go back and learn the way I did before. We assume that's the right way. But we're never learning how to use all the mechanics. I'm going to go back to an English word, accuracy. When we're learning grammar and vocabulary, we're learning accuracy. We never learn how to use that in a real conversation with real people, when there are distractions, when there are unexpected moments, when we have to think fast and respond quickly, when we make a mistake or somebody else makes a mistake and we have to figure out what's happening in the conversation. There's so many other things happening at the same time. And if we're never in a place to learn how to do that, then we aren't really able to do that in real life. We create this environment where we fail or where we don't do it the way we want to do it. So time and time and time again, we focus on the grammar, we focus on the vocabulary, we learn and we relearn, we learn and we relearn, we go back and we do these things over and over and over again. And then we have conversations where we feel stuck, we feel nervous, we feel embarrassed, we feel shy, we're disappointed, we feel like children. It's such an uncomfortable experience. It's so deeply uncomfortable to be an adult in a conversation and to feel like a child. And so because that situation is so uncomfortable, because all the work we did didn't prepare us for that moment, we try to avoid it. We think, ooh, that was the wrong thing. I just need to go back and learn some more. But that creates a trap. It creates this cycle that just repeats itself. We keep going back to learn more grammar, more vocabulary. We study more. And then we have these conversations that don't go the way that we want and feel terrible. And so it creates this belief that it's too late for me. I've done the wrong thing. I am too old. I'm too shy. I'm too nervous. It's too late because I didn't study abroad when I was younger. I should have gone abroad when I was in high school. We have all these ideas to support why we can't do it. But what we're missing is the practice that helps us develop those skills for real life. If we only study, and we only study grammar, we only study vocabulary, we watch videos on YouTube, we work with apps, all those things. If we never give ourselves the opportunity not to have real conversations in real life, that's, if you live abroad or if you work in English, you need to have those real conversations, but are you practicing for those conversations? Are you practicing with the kind of practice that actually develops your fluency and confidence, the kind of practice that helps you use the mechanics of English in real conversations, the kinds of practice that help you learn how to be spontaneous in the moment? And so that's my question to you is, have you given yourself those opportunities for real speaking practice? Have you given yourself the opportunity to learn how to use grammar in the moment and deal with distractions and unexpected questions? Have you given yourself the opportunity to figure out what to do when there's a mistake, whether it's your mistake or somebody else's? Have you given yourself that kind of practice? When I think about the women that I work with and see every day, that's the key difference, is they are getting that real practice. In fact, I'm thinking about one of my students right now. She's in Germany. She's in her 60s. And she said that before she joined this community, speaking English was a burden. It was a burden because she had to do all this preparation. She would never speak unless it was perfectly prepared in advance. So she was spending a lot of time preparing, trying to get it right in the moment, and she just felt embarrassed most of the time. But now she says that she just enjoys conversations. She just enjoys speaking with people. She can be spontaneous in the moment. She's just excited about the conversation. That's what she's focused on, not the mechanics, not the fear, not the worries. She's given herself practice for those real life moments. Another student of mine I'm thinking about who lives in Japan, and her dream for her life, I just actually sent an email about this to those of you who get my emails. But her dream was to speak English fluently, and she had this deep regret that she had never gone abroad. She felt even resentful that she had never gone abroad. And she thought, it's too late for me. Now I'm married, I have a job, I have kids, I can't move to an English speaking country. It's too late for me. But inside the community that she's in, she's getting all the speaking practice. She's able to put all of the grammar and pronunciation and vocabulary into real conversations. And now she's developed fluency. She's having conversations with people nearly every day in English. She has people coming to visit her in Japan, and she gives them tours around Japan in English. So these things can change no matter where you live, no matter how old you are, no matter how shy you might feel right now. It's about whether or not you're giving yourself that opportunity to not only learn the mechanics, but also learning how to use them in real life when all these other factors, other people are involved. We have to develop those skills. And if you listen to any of my videos or listen to any of my lives, you know that I'm a big believer in developing those skills in a place that feels comfortable to you, a place where you don't have to worry about being judged for mistakes, a place where you feel safe to try new things, because that safety is what develops confidence. And confidence is a little different. We need that safety to feel comfortable enough to try. We need that safety to feel courageous enough to try. And then when we try and we see, ooh, this worked. This worked just fine. This is okay for me. I can do this. I'm going to try it again and again. And so we develop that confidence, and that gets us to speak more and more and more, which develops our fluency. But we have to be speaking to do it. It's the only way there. So that's what I want to leave you with today. And I want to come back to why being in your 40s, 50s, and 60s can actually be an advantage. And I know again that we've all learned that the theories about being a child and learning a language, we've all heard that before. We've all heard that if you want to have a native accent or you want to speak like a native speaker, you have to learn it as a child. And sure, there's plenty of research about that. There are lots of benefits to learning as a child. There is also a lot of research about learning languages as an adult. And there are a lot of benefits of learning languages as an adult. And so I want to talk about a few of them. As an adult, you can learn super efficiently. You can do it fast when you contribute time. I can explain how to use the present simple, or I can explain how to use the past simple. I can explain the mechanics of grammar, and you get it right away because you know the grammar of your first language. We can use that knowledge to our benefit. I can't explain to a baby what the present simple is. A baby won't understand me. It's not efficient. A baby needs years to learn how to speak, right? But I can explain to you the mechanics very quickly so we can learn the mechanics fast. And that's why we feel so productive when we begin learning a language, is it does happen fast at the beginning. The mechanics, the rules happen fast, right? We can learn the grammar, we can learn the rules. But that's not the whole part of learning a language. So again, being an adult, we can be efficient, we can be fast, we can learn things quickly. Also, as an adult, you have a lot of knowledge. You have opinions. You have stories to share. You have expertise on topics. And you know, as an adult, what you want to do. You can be clear about what you want in English. You can be clear about what kinds of conversations or what situations you need and want to speak in English. So you can have that clarity. You can say for certain, I really need and want to be confident and fluent when I'm talking to my work colleagues in the UK, when we're in brainstorming meetings. That's really specific. And when you know that, you can focus specifically on the skills that help you get there. Now, the skills are not just grammar and vocabulary. The skills are learning how to shape an idea in English, learning how to express it, having the right words that help you transition from each part of sharing your idea. But you can learn those things and you can practice them in real time to build up that skill so that you can use them. So being older gives you efficiency. Things can be explained quickly. It gives you clarity. You know what you want to say. You know, if you want to be able to tell stories or share opinions or whatever it is. You know also if there are certain topics that you want to be able to discuss in English. You can have clarity on that. You also, as an adult, have the luxury of choice. You can make the decision to spend time working on those skills. You can find the people that you want to practice with. You have so many choices online these days of people to practice with, whether it's where you live or online or whatever it is. But there are so many ways that you get to choose how to spend your time and who you spend it with. The key is that you have to make that choice to spend time on practicing. If you don't bring in that element, you're leaving 80, I would say, I don't have a solid thing. I need to do some research on this, but I would say 80% of what you need to speak fluently in any language, 80% of what you need to speak confidently in any language is the practicing speaking with real people. The mechanics, the grammar, the vocabulary, the pronunciation, that's like 15 to 20%. So if you're only studying 15 to 20% of what you need, it's going to be really hard to fully express yourself in a language, to feel fully fluent and confident if you're forgetting to focus on the other 85 or 80%. So that for you is something I want you to be thinking about. And I apologize, I was kind of all over the place, but I hope that you can see those connections between age, that at the end of the day, it's not about age. It's not about where you live. It doesn't matter if you've ever lived in an English speaking country or studied abroad. All of these things are absolutely possible for you. And I know that because I see it happen every single day. Again, most of my students, most of the women I work with are in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. The key is that they're giving themselves the opportunity to be in real conversations, to experience those real conversations, to learn how to adapt and develop confidence in doing so. And that makes it easier to keep going forward, building up those skills, building up their level of fluency, building up their confidence, and getting sharper, getting more accurate as they go as well, because we get more accurate as our fear and anxiety go down. So with that, this gave me an idea. Actually, there's one more thing. I think I might pop on live next week because I just had another thing that came to mind as I was sharing all of this. And so I want to talk a little bit about that next week. But thank you for joining me here. If you joined me, thank you so much for being here. I see several people here saying hi in the chat. I see Ahmad. Hello. Thank you for being here. Ingrid, I think, thank you so much for being here as well. So I want to leave you with this. My question for you is, where are you giving yourself that opportunity for real speaking practice? At the end of the day, that's the key. And as an adult, you have that luxury of choice. You can find your people. You can find your coaches, your teachers, the people that you practice with. You can find places online and where you live. We have so many options to do that. The key is getting that real practice. All right. So thanks, everybody. I might, as I said, pop on next week. I've got something else that I wanted to think about today, but we'll save it for next time. Thanks for being here.